We're diving into a topic that you want to know more about because guess what? People are cranky and moody, and sometimes clinical issues are behind it. Sometimes communication issues are behind it, but you need strategies. So, we're talking about behavioral regulation and mood therapy. I'm going to talk about techniques. So, let's talk about the basics. So, I spent a lot of time in the last few months talking about self regulation. And it's so important because so many of you are frustrated with your teens, your kids, your young adults, maybe even your spouse, maybe yourself. And you're not really understanding what self regulation is. So, ultimately, in the end, at its most basic level, self regulation is being able to manage different types of stimuli, emotionally coded information, even benign information, and regulate your responses to it, ignore things you should ignore. And what is happening in the world is we have a lot of people, I don't even want to say kids, who are dysregulated. And what happens, right? So we have an overstimulated or understimulated brain, and that can cause low reactions to things that maybe they should react to, right? So, you're concerned about your child's motivation, you're concerned that they don't seem to care about things. That could be a sign of a dysregulated nervous system, an underreactive or overreactive kids and adults. And this is what I'm seeing a whole lot in the world. They really struggle with emotional dysregulation. And when we have kids, adults that have big, big feelings. It's hard to miss, isn't it? And we just are not taught on how to manage those big emotions, right? You ask your kid to hurry up for the bus, and the next thing you know, it's full on chaos in your house, right? Who hasn't been there, right? I've been there where I've left my kid and said, "We're out of here." But emotional dysregulation is when you really are just over responsive to things that shouldn't cause such a reaction. And why does that happen? So we talked a little bit about an under or an overstimulated brain and ADD, rejection sensitive dysphoria, pathological demand avoidance. Sometimes that happens because you have clinical issues like autism, learning disabilities, anxiety, depression. Sometimes it is a clinical issue. Sometimes it's a compounded, stressful life that the nervous system overactivates. And sometimes it's developmental, right? Sometimes it's just hormones. Kids are crankier. But when kids have a pattern of emotional dysregulation, we've got to give them a lifeline. And hello, we need our own lifeline. So let's talk about strategies for emotional regulation because this is what you need. And really, my parent kit, my mood kit, right, has so much unbelievable information and really, me, actionable resources. You go to drroseann.com/mood kit. It's an affordable resource for you. And just know when you click on the page, you're going to get offered a special discount that will disappear in a very short amount of time. So make sure if you're getting it, click on it and order it because you'll never see that discount again. So, number one, what do we need to do to help our dysregulated kids that have behavioral issues? And this is like across every spectrum of issue, right? Whether there's clinical or not, putting the brakes on. Hello, impulse control. So, the basis of all self regulation is what we call behavioral disinhibition, right? So, we need to be able to stop when things escalate or there's a fear response or irritation, anger, whatnot. It's impulse control. So, how do we teach our kids to put the brakes on? That's the $1,000,000 question. And no, it's not a pill. No, it's not our multi-mag neuro, even though that can help. We have to have patience. These are skills that are taught. Yes, some of us are less impulsive, right? It's fascinating. If you've ever seen that research where they get kids to delay gratification. They leave out marshmallows and candy. There's different ones. And, the kids that were able to delay gratification when they followed them were generally happier kids. No surprise, right? Because it's about self-regulation. If you're dysregulating a lot, that means you're going into a sympathetic dominant state. Ding, ding, ding. It's an aha moment for you, right? So, how can we do that? So, of course, what we want to try to do is regularly calm the nervous system. By regularly calming the nervous system learns to go back into a parasympathetic state. So, remember, we have an autonomic nervous system, it's our stress response system. When you get stressed, goes into a sympathetic dominant, right? But then when it's properly attuned, goes down into a relaxed parasympathetic state, as I always call it, the hot tub state. But unless you are lubricating, you are working that muscle, right? It's gonna keep activating. So by calming it, what do I always say? You got to power down to power up, right? In order for everything to work properly, you have to be able to get into that regulated state. And there's a lot of ways to do it. And I talk all about it in my mood kit. You can go to drroseann.com/mood kit. So, one of the best ways that I like to teach adults kids of all ages on how to self-regulate and builds the foundation of self-regulation is connecting to body sensation. And people are so activated. They live with things like gastrointestinal distress, chest pain, weak knees, like every combination of how stress shows in the body, people get very acclimated. But our body is the window to what stressors activate us. And so we start moving in an activated state and we have all these uncomfortable body sensations. And eventually, once you're in a sympathetic dominant state, you become only aware of one state, stress. So what we have to do is teach the body to regulate and calm. And that window, as I said, is understanding the body sensations. So if we have a lump in our throat, maybe that's a sensation that somebody is making us really uncomfortable because they shut down our speaking. If we have uncomfortableness in our stomach, maybe it means that they need to slow down, do some breath work. And everybody can learn to connect to body sensations. The key is you need to distinguish between different body sensations. We cannot only live in a cranky state or a moody state, right? And a lot of kids that are dysregulated behaviorally and moody are very shut down at a certain point. Everything irritates their system. Hopefully, it's another aha moment for you. These are kids that are prone to a lot of sensory issues. They can be shut down and they can be that internalizer, right? Where they avoid, or they can be an externalizer where they're punching holes and yelling at you and you're getting into a lot of conflict. It's often very confusing for parents to have a kid with a mood issue because they just don't understand why it happened. And a lot of people with mood issues have another issue first. It could be anxiety, it could be autism, it could be sensory processing disorder. It tends to move from something else to a mood problem. But by connecting to body sensations, you're never too old, it's never too late. And it helps us to say, oh, I feel uncomfortable right now. Why? And what am I going to do about it? And even if you don't get to the why, you can do something about it. What are those strategies? You can do breath work. You can stop, take magnesium. You can do some yoga moves. You can do our calm PMF. There's a whole list of things, but you have to do it with fidelity, right? Consistency, utilize it so that the nervous system can get regulated. And then part two is how can learn new things? Well, this is how therapy can help, right? So, with a regulated and calm nervous system, you then parent with new learning, right? And this is the missing ingredient. Nobody is calming the nervous system, and they're trying to teach these moody, irritated kids how to do something, but they're too activated. to learn a new skill, right? Your whole house may be too activated. Once you have an externalizer in your house, the whole house is activated. There's no way around it. You certainly have to regularly calm your nervous system. But this is where that training can help in therapy, a licensed therapist. You can gain skills in our calm brain community. You can do a lot of things, but you got to do something different, right? Remember how I always talk about the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result? That's according to Einstein, right? So let's pay attention to that, right? Doing something different, you have to do it consistently, at least 30 days. And you really have to try your best to regulate yourself and teach your kid how to regulate. So, if you're looking for science backed solutions, you're looking for effective strategies, go to drroseann.com/mood kit to learn more about how this unbelievable resource can help your child and family today. And, you have to stay strong. You have to always say, it's going to be okay, and this will help you to unlock your potential. But you need this is our natural mood and behavioral regulation kit. And it's something that is going to be a go-to resource for you. And you can click on the button and you can start using it today. So sending you all a lot of hope and good juju. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about how this parent kit is going to help you, your child, and your family.